Before we get started with the service itself, I have a few announcements. So first, please mark your calendars for our annual Christmas Eve service on Wednesday, December 24th at 7 o'clock, and our annual New Year's Eve service on Thursday, December 31st, also at 7 o'clock. So this year, they're going to be, things are a little different, so they've been totally redone, they're totally new, but they will be filled with the music, message, and magic that we always bring to these holidays. We will be facilitating both services from the sanctuary, and they will be live on Facebook Live and on Zoom. So stay tuned, there are more details coming. Also, mark your calendars for our New Year's Day visioning service. So that will be on Zoom. Be prepared to download your highest and best ideas for 2021. Once again, more details are coming. Please follow us today immediately following the service for a very important town hall meeting. We will talk about our reconvening survey, our finances, our leadership council, and more. So if you're watching this on Zoom, just stay where you are. If you're on Facebook Live, then once the service ends, hop over to our Zoom. Now, Giving Tuesday is a global generosity movement unleashing the power of people and organizations to transform their communities and the world. Giving Tuesday was created in 2012 as a simple idea, a day that encourages people to do good. Over the past 8 years, it has grown into a global movement that inspires hundreds of millions of people to give, collaborate, and celebrate generosity. While we will not be directly participating in the National Giving Tuesday campaign, we will celebrate the season of giving in our own way. We encourage everyone to participate in the season of giving beginning Tuesday, December 1st. So what we are doing this year is we have created this amazing digital advent calendar. So behind each door of the calendar, we will have something special for you. A special image, an affirmation, a video, a song, something to help you celebrate the holidays for that day. We send out a link to the calendar so you can open each door and receive your daily gift. In the spirit of giving, we ask each of you to commit, in addition to your regular giving, to give a suggested gift of not less than $1 per day to support our center and a place in the table. We will, in the spirit of giving, share 50% of all the proceeds we raise from this with a place at the table, who has been serving approximately 250 free meals each day over the past 8 months. So, if you find the calendar inspiring during the season of giving, please feel free to show your appreciation with any additional gift amount you desire. So thank you ahead of time for your ongoing generosity. All right, with that, I am going to call up to the podium another licensed spiritual practitioner. It's the marvelous Michelle Love, who's our platform host for today.
Thank you, Carol. Now I've got to be marvelous. Okay. So our theme for 2020 is 2020 Spiritual Vision. And wrapping up our November theme is Living as Compassionate Conduits. And Reverend Dusty's talk title today is The Grateful and Cheerful Receiver. Our community purpose statement. I'm going to read this for you now. If you'd like to close your eyes, fine. Our purpose is to inspire, educate, and empower individuals to experience themselves as unique and individualized expressions of God, the love intelligence that governs the universe. We are committed to not merely a theoretical understanding of our oneness and unity with God, but to consciously practice this truth in our everyday lives. Through celebration, service, study, and fellowship, we are committed to the transformation of our personal lives into being a powerful and beneficial presence on the planet. With the energy of unconditional love, Simply, we are here for God, and so it is. So now I invite you to turn within for a few minutes of centering. If you would close your outer eyes, taking a deep breath in, and exhaling, fully arriving into this now moment, knowing that right where you are is exactly where you are meant to be. Staying in that centered space, allow the healing sound vibrations of the crystal bowls to wash through every cell of your being.
I invite you to begin to bring your attention back into your bodies and into your rooms, and remain turned within as I speak a word of blessing upon our service. With my eyes closed, I am acutely aware that there is just one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. My life, connected to this power and presence in ways that can never be broken. It is that which breathes me, that which supports me, guides me, guards me, and loves me. I was created by it out of itself in a moment of unconditional love. And just as I know that this is my truth, I know that it is the truth of each and every person here in this sanctuary, each and every person on Zoom, on Facebook Live, each and every person that will watch us at some later date and time, all sentient beings on the planet. We are all interconnected by this golden thread of God stuff that weaves itself throughout all of life. And it's from that place of unity that I bless our service. I bless our time together, knowing that it truly is a divine appointment that God is having through and as each of us. I bless Michelle and Carol as the practitioners holding down this service today, knowing that they bring their highest and best to everything that they do. I bless Heather and Mark in the AV booth, knowing that they too are serving this community in a very generous and loving way, that they know exactly how to make us look good and sound good. And I am grateful for their presence. I bless the amazing Karen Daly as she comes forward to share her gift of song today, knowing that she inspires everyone within the sound of her voice. And I bless everyone in our community, everyone on the planet. I'm grateful for this time together, grateful for this community, grateful for the ability to come together despite the need for keeping each other safe through social distancing. And so I know that this service flows with grace and with ease. And for all of the blessings, those that I'm aware of and those I can't even begin to imagine, I am grateful. We anchor this together by saying, and so it is. And so it is. Amen. It is now my privilege to welcome back to the podium licensed spiritual practitioner, the awesome Carol Cross.
Okay, now we're going to do one of my favorite rituals, the blessings of all faiths. So I ask Michelle to come on up and help me with that. The Triangle Center for Spiritual Living honors the diversity and threads of truth that run through all spiritual paths, as represented by this ceremony. Christianity is the path of Christ consciousness, love, and forgiveness. Buddhism is the path of compassion and understanding. Judaism is the ethical path of living by sacred law. Baha'i is the path of unity and peace. Islam is the path of submission to the will of God, the highest calling. Confucianism is the path of deliberate tradition. Taoism is the natural way, the path of ultimate reality. Native American practice and shamanic tradition are the paths of primal spirituality. Shintoism is the path of tribal ancestry. Hinduism is the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Science of mind and spirit is the path of the divine principles of love and law. And the heart represents the one heart, the one love that resides at the center of all people and all beings everywhere, with no exceptions. May peace prevail on earth through the followers of all paths. And so it is. Okay, the reading for today is from Florence Scovel Shinn. She says, "Some people are cheerful givers, but bad receivers. They refuse gifts through pride or some negative reason, thereby blocking their channels, and inevitably find themselves eventually with little or nothing. There is always the perfect balance of giving and receiving." All right, now I ask everyone to close their outer eyes for one more moment as I say an invocation for today's service. And closing my eyes, I leave the room, the world of form, and I fall into that bliss that is the universal heart, the universal soul, the one, just the one. It's one. We are all one. I am one with this presence, this power, this energy. It is my reality. It is my joy, my love, my peace, my wisdom. I am one of it, with it, as I am one with all. As each person in this room, each person in this service, each person on this planet is part of that same singular unity, one energy of love and peace and joy and abundance. And so I know today the service will be perfect because it comes from that place of unity and perfection. That our beloved senior minister will speak with divine wisdom and touch our hearts with divine love. Our beautiful songstress, Karen Daly, will have the notes of God and change our feelings forever. And so I just am so excited to have this unfold in perfect order, with everyone bringing their highest and their bests. So I just turn this over to the law that always says yes, and ask you to anchor this for yourselves and for each other with our words, And so it is. So it is. And here she is, a gift to all of us.
Thank you, Carol. Good morning, everybody. This is a new group that I discovered called Elevation Workshop, and the song is called There Is a Cloud. Hear the word roaring as thunder, with a new future to tell. For the dry season is over, there's a cloud beginning to swell. To the sky, heavy with blessing, lift your eyes and offer your heart. You alone can open heavens and receive the Spirit of God. We receive your love. We receive your love. We receive your love. We receive your love. Every seed buried in sorrow, you will call forth in its time. You are Lord, Lord of the harvest, calling hope now to arise. We receive your rain. We receive your rain. We receive your rain. We receive your rain. Like a flood, like a flood. We receive your love when you come like a flood, like a flood. We receive your love when you come. And with great anticipation, we await the promise to come. Everything that you have spoken will come to pass. Let it be done. We receive your rain. We receive your rain. We receive your rain. We receive your rain. Thank you.
Oh, that was a beautiful song. You sounded great, and it was absolutely perfect for today. Welcome to those of you who may have just jumped on to Facebook Live or to Zoom. We're so very grateful that you have chosen to share your morning with us today. The theme for the month of November is Living as Compassionate Conduits, and my talk title is The Grateful and Cheerful Receiver. Now, this might come as kind of an interesting or surprising talk title because we typically hear about the idea of being a cheerful giver. The Bible reference that is often used is 2 Corinthians 9, verses 6 through 7. It says, "Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver." Now, we have all probably heard the old adage that it's better to give than to receive. The act of giving elicits positive feelings for everyone involved, making it one of the most important acts that we can do for one another. Today, however, the invitation is to put that idea on the back burner because we are talking about being a cheerful receiver. The law of circulation says that giving and receiving is the reciprocal ebb and flow of yin and yang. This means that giving and receiving are connected, that really we could think about them as one and the same, two sides of the same coin, that we can't have one without the other. The reality is that we are in an ever-flowing cycle of giving and receiving. It is the literal process of our breathing. We take in oxygen in our in-breath, and in the out-breath, we give carbon dioxide out into the world to be used by those living beings that need it to survive and thrive. We live in synchronicity within the world around us. Symbiotic relationships are abundant in nature and needed for the ecosystem to continue to thrive. Deepak Chopra says the universe operates through dynamic exchange. Giving and receiving are different aspects of the flow of the energy in the universe. Now, nature provides perfect examples of this dynamic exchange of giving and receiving that is necessary for the flow of life. We receive the gift of oxygen from trees, and we give them the necessary carbon dioxide. Insects receive nectar from the flowers, and they give the gift of pollination. Giving and receiving are both aspects of the same flow of energy in the universe. Everything in the universe depends upon the flow of circulation, including ourselves. If one aspect of the energy flow doesn't work, then the circulation ceases to function and the circulation of energy becomes stuck. The bottom line is that while being a cheerful giver is a wonderful context for living our lives, it is also true and equally as important for us to be a cheerful receiver. Ernest Holmes says, "The universe is impersonal. It gives to all alike. It is no respecter of persons. It values each alike. Its nature is to impart. Our nature is to receive." So the underlying truth is that it is a deeply embedded part of our nature to know how to receive. It's one of our greatest birthrights as living creatures, and yet sometimes we, for any number of reasons, believe that we cannot or should not receive anything from anywhere or from anyone. Often we believe that our only value is in giving. When we were young, we were inherently connected to our innate ability to receive. Just think about the excited faces of little children as they held a gift that was just for them alone. I mean, isn't that really one of the joys of Christmas itself? As we get older, however, our ability to receive gifts with that same kind of enthusiasm, with that same kind of grace, is diminished. There's no doubt in my mind that giving is celebrated. We may have been taught the importance of giving by our parents or by our teachers or by our friends or by our extended communities as we were growing up. However, receiving was probably not as well modeled or celebrated. Most of us probably learned the importance of giving, being a generous and cheerful giver, but never learned anything about being a grateful and cheerful receiver. Ideally, the exchange of giving and receiving is effortless. When there is a struggle, however, it is worth examining and discovering why that is. The invitation is for each of us to think about the experiences that we've had in our lives of both giving and receiving. And if we honestly think about it, we would all probably be able to recognize that we are better at one or the other. My guess is that we all know how to give, and most of us give freely. The problem is that while we are cheerful givers, as Florence Scovel Shinn said, they may also be bad receivers. There are many different reasons for this. We may believe that somehow receiving puts us in debt, or that accepting assistance makes us feel self-centered or weak or vulnerable or needy. Maybe we can't receive without negative thoughts popping up in our minds, such as, I don't deserve this, or it's too much, or she must want something. Sometimes people even get to the point where they can't receive a gift, or for that matter, even a compliment, without feeling embarrassed or without feeling indebted in some way. They may mistakenly believe that the only acceptable way to respond to receiving a gift is by giving back something of the same value or even greater value. Others simply fail to see the significance of the gift, focusing only on its outward appearance or its value rather than really paying attention to the underlying meaning that it has to the giver themselves. A willingness to accept from others gracefully can be tough, especially for those of us that really are used to being very self-sufficient. The question to ask ourselves is, in what way do I deflect being a grateful and cheerful receiver? How am I doing that right now? To receive in a cheerful way really requires us to do away with all of those negative thoughts, all of those negative beliefs about receiving itself, and instead pause and reflect on the exchange and what it means, the underlying deep, profound, perhaps profound meaning of the gift itself, such as friendship, love, and support. Receiving is an equally important part of the giving process as the giving itself. If everyone in the world gave, there would be nobody there to receive, and the balance would be thrown off. It is necessary to keep the giving cycle rotating because giving and receiving are equal parts of that same circle. This creates a natural balance in the world. Einstein said that nothing happens until something moves. If we stop the movement, we stop what is happening. The thing that was going to happen may have been the most amazing, the most wonderful thing, but we caused it not to happen by refusing to be a good receiver. Refusing to receive is like stepping on a garden hose and just completely shutting off the flow of water. Our resistance does not allow the ebb and flow of life to happen. Have you ever said to anyone, if you need anything, don't hesitate to call me? If I can do anything at all for you, please let me know. Please reach out. Has anyone ever said those things to you? How many times did you actually call someone to assist you? We know that they mean it, but how many times do we take them up on that offer? The answer is close to never. It's not that we don't appreciate people saying and doing things. It's usually just that we find it simpler or easier to just do them ourselves. Although it would really help if we were to ask for people to help us in many cases. We like to do things on our own. And so some of us say that we're pretty independent. And so we don't ask. While others would rather die than humble themselves. After all, to receive help, we have to admit that we need it. And we usually hate to admit anything negative about ourselves. However, asking for help is never negative. God has given us different talents and gifts. Because of our independence or because of our failure to humble ourselves, we are taking away from someone being able to use their gifts and talents. Because we won't allow ourselves to receive, they are not being allowed to give. It's a two-way street. We would be denying people to give if we refuse to receive. Every gift that is offered to us, especially a gift that comes from the heart, is an opportunity to build or to strengthen a bond of love. When we are a grateful and cheerful receiver, we open a door to deepen our relationship with the giver of that gift. But when we fail to appreciate or even reject a gift, we not only hurt those who extend themselves to us, but in some ways we also harm ourselves. Think of it this way. If we are gracious and filled with gratitude and cheerful when we receive something, we are giving a gift to the giver. The one who gives the gift gets to feel appreciated. And I know we've all felt that. And I know we all think it feels pretty good. Now, during this season of giving, I have three invitations for each of us this morning. The first is to open our minds and our hearts to receiving. Ernest Holmes says, all men, and I add women, seek some relationship to the universal mind, the oversoul, or the eternal spirit, which we call God. And life reveals itself to whoever is receptive to it. Before we can be a grateful and cheerful receiver, we have to take this step. We need to be willing to accept gifts and acknowledgement from other people. Some questions that we can ask ourselves is, am I ready to receive? Where do I position myself in the ebb and flow of the universe? Have I positioned myself in a stance of interconnectivity with everything and everyone? Have I put myself in a position to receive good and to foster good? Do I have my arms wide open? I love this. Karen's song talked about receiving the rain, Do I have my arms wide open to receive the sunlight, the moonlight, the rain that she sang about, the love, the peace, the joy, the abundance, all the bounty that the universe has to offer? Do I have my arms wide open? The universe is always giving to us, but we will never be able to receive anything from the divine if we can't even receive a compliment from a loved one. The invitation is to open our hearts and our minds to receiving. A second question to ask ourselves is, do I feel worthy of connection? I think that all of our various answers to that question would fall on a spectrum. On one end would be those of us that live in a space of receptivity all of the time, every moment of every day. Somewhere in the middle would be those who are at times receptive and at times not so receptive. And on the other end would be those of us whose answer is a resounding no. For those of us who fall on that end, we're not alone. Brene Brown, through years of collecting data, says that only about 15 to 20% of people live in a full-hearted way where they can both easily give and receive love. The findings suggest that what causes the ability to really receive love as well as to give love is whether or not people feel that they are lovable at their core. Do we believe that we are irrefutably lovable and valuable, and that we don't need any benchmark of success to prove it? When we really know our value, we are more in touch with our feelings, both those feelings that we would describe as negative and those feelings that we would describe as positive, and that helps us to become big-hearted receivers and givers of good. A third question that we can ask ourselves is, what am I willing to welcome? When Brene Brown looked at all of those findings from her research, she recognized that the people who were capable of both giving and receiving love truly believed that they were lovable and had a place in the world. She noticed that those beliefs translated into specific choices that those people made every single day. They recognized their vulnerability and they were willing to feel it. Debbie Blue, author and founding pastor of the House of Mercy, says, "Maybe we worship power, try our hardest to project strength and invulnerability because we are afraid of something we don't need to be afraid of, something we would do better to embrace, like the vulnerability at the core of our humanness. Perhaps being open to this is precisely what makes peace and love and cooperation possible. It is this openness to vulnerability that allows us to receive God." When we welcome in our own vulnerability and the vulnerability of others, we are well on our way to being grateful and cheerful receivers of goodness. The invitation is to cultivate our own tenderness and to tune into God's rhythm. The ebb and flow of life is just waiting for us to be a conduit for it, just waiting for us to open ourselves so it can flow through us. The second invitation is to learn to say thank you. The invitation is to open our hearts, accept something good when it's offered to us, and be grateful when receiving it. If someone offers you a gift, take the gift and just say thank you. If you're in a restaurant and somebody wants to pay for the bill, don't argue. Just look at them and say thank you and allow them to give it to you. Think about it. Don't you feel good when you give something to someone? Would you deny that awesome feeling to others by refusing a gift? While it's fine for you to give and others to receive, you cannot expect to not receive and have the law of reciprocity be denied. If you wanted to give a gift, wouldn't you want someone to receive it? Remember, there can't be a giver without a receiver. Whenever you accept a gift, know that you are helping yourself and the giver to complete the cycle of giving and receiving, to allow for there to be balance on the planet. It's also important to notice how you respond to compliments, especially when they're sincere and valid. Do you downplay it, decline it, or ignore it altogether? Do you say something like, "Oh, it's nothing"? The reason why you do not accept other people's compliments about you is because you do not accept them about yourself. One of the easiest ways to cheat yourselves out of receiving is not accepting other people's compliments about you. The invitation is to do the inner work to attain self-acceptance so that you can just look another in the eye and say, "Thank you." The invitation is to give up your beliefs about accepting gifts from others. Forget about feeling vulnerable or owing them something. When you refuse a gift from anyone, you're not only blocking the flow of abundance in your own life, but you're blocking the flow of abundance in the giver's life. Imagine how rich and abundant your life would truly be if instead of blocking it, you could simply, cheerfully, and gratefully receive your highest good. And remember that, we have to do it with our loved ones. We have to do it with our family, with our friends, with our community before we can really accept it from the universe. So when a person offers you a gift, accept it. Even if the gift seems worthless in your eyes, it was worth something to someone or it wouldn't even exist. Freely accept the gift, as it may need to be given to someone else, and it may not get there except through you. You are the conduit, so accept the gift with grace and appreciation. Accept it gratefully and cheerfully. There is a reason that you are receiving it, so just accept it and say thank you. The third invitation is to remember to pay it forward. Now, paying it forward is a concept that involves doing something good for someone in response to a good deed that was done on our behalf or a gift that we received. When we pay it forward, however, we do not repay the person who did that something nice for us or gave us that gift. Instead, we do something nice or give a gift to someone else. This is paying it forward. In the 2000 movie, Pay It Forward, a social studies teacher, Kevin Spacey to be exact, gives his students an assignment to develop and put into action a plan that would change the world for the better. One of his students, an 11-year-old named Trevor, comes up with a scheme that he called Pay It Forward, in which the recipient of a favor does not return the favor to the original benefactor, but instead grants a favor for someone else, either an acquaintance or perhaps even a complete stranger. This concept is not new. For example, Benjamin Franklin did something similar when he was moved by a letter that he received from his friend Benjamin Webb, who needed a loan. Mr. Franklin agreed to lend his buddy the money with one condition. And that one condition was that when he was able to repay the loan, that he did not do so, that he should not do that. Instead, he should give the same amount of money to someone else in financial difficulty with those same strings attached. Both Trevor and Benjamin Franklin created a plan to pay it forward, a plan that in some way changed the world for the better. But each of their plans had to start with an original receiver. Being a cheerful receiver doesn't mean that we are obligated to the person that we received something from. It simply means that we recognize that there is a natural ebb and flow, a natural flow of giving and receiving, and that we are expressing our abundance by doing both. And what's not to be grateful and cheerful about that? The final invitation for today is that as we watch the excitement and the wonder of children at this time of the year, perhaps we can remind ourselves to rediscover and to reclaim a precious and glorious attribute that we had as children, the ability to be a grateful and cheerful receiver. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you. So I just invite us to turn within, to allow ourselves to turn away from the world of form, to turn our attention inward to the space and place that I call God, that light of the divine, that Christ consciousness, that space and place that we can never be separate from, that one that is always with us, always within us. And not only is it within us, but it surrounds us. There is only this one life. And I know that I am connected to it. I know that I am one with it beyond a shadow of a doubt. And just as I know that this is true for me, I know that it is true for each and every person in this sanctuary, each and every person within the sound of my voice. And it is from that place of unity that I speak these words about and for each of us today. Truly knowing that we are spiritual beings having a human incarnation, that we arrived on the planet imbued with all of the goodness that is the very presence of God itself, imbued with an innate ability to receive and an innate ability to give. For that is truly the nature of God itself, the nature of the universe. It is always giving, never concerned about who it is giving to, just always giving. And it is our nature to receive. Somewhere along the way, we may have lost our ability to do that. We may have forgotten how. We may have allowed other things to get in the way, to create resistance to our being able to receive. But what I know is that both are important, both giving and receiving, and so it behooves us to step powerfully into or back into that ability to receive, to learn to be able to say thank you, to look another in the eye and allow them to feel that wonderful, glorious feeling of giving something to someone, speaking kind words about another, and being just acknowledged and appreciated for that. I claim ease and grace around us, around that for us. That as we move through this time of giving, that we connect, deeply connect with that place and space inside of us and allow it to inform our way of being in the world, to be both grateful and cheerful givers and receivers, and know that we are participating fully in the circulation of life. And I'm so grateful to know this truth, so grateful to speak these words, so grateful for the power of prayer, knowing that these words are loosed into a law that only ever says yes. And so I release them into that law with gratitude, with full expectation, letting go and letting God be God. And we anchor this together for ourselves and for each other simply by saying, and so it is, and so it is. Amen. Thank you all. It is now time for our conscious giving. Speaking of that, I promise you that we will receive gratefully and cheerfully. It is our nature to do so. Please take a moment to feel that gratitude for all of the abundance that we truly have in our lives, and to know that our gratitude for it draws more into our lives to be grateful about. It is generative. And to know that as we are willing to give of some of that gratitude, or of some of that abundance, that we powerfully step into that flow. That as we give and keep ourselves open to receive, that flow just keeps coursing through us. Please repeat after me. I am grateful for all that I receive. And I am so grateful for all that I may give. And so it is. As you are preparing those gifts or dialing up that text to tithe number, please welcome back the awesome, I mean truly awesome, Karen Daly.
Thanks, everybody. Well, I'm going to try and be a much better receiver now, Dusty. Thank you for that. I got a couple things on my list that I need to ask you for, actually. No, just kidding. This is a song I haven't thought about since Larry and Sean's wedding, which was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, called I Hope You Dance. I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. Get your fill to eat, but always keep that hunger. May you never take one single breath for granted. God forbid love ever leave you empty-handed. Hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Never one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance when you get the choice to sit it out or dance. I hope you dance. Hope you never fear those mountains in the distance. Never settle for the path of least resistance. Living might mean taking chances, but they're worth taking. Loving might be a mistake, but it's worth making. Don't let some help and heart leave you bitter. If you come close to selling out, reconsider. Give the heavens above more than just a passing glance. When you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Well, you've done it again, Karen. I wasn't actually supposed to be here in this role today, but somebody reached out and asked for support. And it's touched my heart to be part of this ceremony with, as we talk about the holiday season and reminding ourselves that we need to receive in order to be able to give. So you couldn't have picked a better song. Thank you, Karen. All right, and we have another opportunity for you to allow us to be cheerful receivers, and that is if you feel a need for prayer. We've got all of these ministers and practitioners who are just dying to support you in that way. So if you would like a prayer, on our website at trianglecsl.org, on the homepage, there's a button in the upper right-hand corner. So you click on that button and fill in the request form. We will get that prayer and send it out to all of our ministers and practitioners. And then finally, and we have got just reminding, we're going to have this really important town meeting on Zoom immediately after the service. So those of y'all who are on Zoom, stay there. Those on Facebook Live, go over to Zoom. And let's catch up on what's going on with our community. Okay, so this is the last time for our November affirmations. So that means this is your last opportunity to give it all you got. So get up and put your heart and soul and voice into this. It's a call and response, so please repeat after me. Intention is the starting point of everything that takes place in the universe. Intention is the starting point of everything that takes place in the universe. Choice is the engine of evolution. Choice is the engine of evolution. As I consciously choose, I consciously evolve. As I consciously choose, I consciously evolve. The power of choice is one of the greatest gifts I have been given. The power of choice is one of the greatest gifts I have been given. I am committed to my own growth, to loving myself enough to be my best self. I am committed to my own growth, to loving myself enough to be my best self. Today, I choose wisely to express my authentic self in all that I do. Today, I choose wisely to express my authentic self in all that I do. Spirit is 100% engaged with me. Spirit is 100% engaged with me. It is living out its perfect life as me. It is living out its perfect life as me. I am the change I wish to see the world, and all is well. I am the change I wish to see in the world, and all is well. And so it is. So we have a closing video that you want to stay and see. And then, of course, you want to just be part of our town meeting. But before we do that, I have you one last time to close your outer eyes and dive deep into that source. When I'm not looking at the world of appearances, I see that energy, I see it flow, I see it become me, and I see myself giving it out again as well. I see that energy flow as that golden God stuff that is me, that is of me, that is around me, that is you and all of us. And we do this dance of connection, of giving and receiving with joy and gratitude and abundance. And so I am just so grateful for today, for the words of wisdom, for the songs that touched our hearts, and for this affirmation of our role as being grateful and cheerful givers and receivers. And I feel so good. I'm so thankful for everybody's contribution. I'm so thankful for this community and for our ability to be together regardless of what might be going out on the world. So I turn this over as a done deal, tied up with its divine perfection with a bow, and let it go with our words, and so it is.